Hello, welcome to the Connected Retail Experiences Virtual Conference 2020. We're joined here by Kim Otten, Director of BrandLoyalty. So, welcome, Kim.
Thank
you
you.
very much for coming over to have this conversation with us.
Thank you for having me.
Great. So, to start with, would you mind telling us about BrandLoyalty and what you do?
Yes, of course. So at BrandLoyalty, we design, develop, and implement loyalty solutions, focusing and working together with the world's most successful retailers, grocery retailers, by helping them change customer behavior. So we look at what certain KPIs are that they're trying to achieve, and based on that, we come up with a plan supporting to drive consumers and changing their behavior.
That's great. I guess you're very close to market now in Hong Kong and Asia Pacific. Would you mind sharing us what you see in the market in this special time in 2020?
Yes, what we see happening here is go back. So to really change consumers' behavior, you first need to understand what motivates people.
Mm-hmm.
What are the emotions behind the decisions that people make? What we saw is that there were a lot of reports coming out around what was happening in the world,
Okay.
but not about why it was happening. So that is something that we always look into. So we do a lot of personal conversations with consumers across the globe to really understand what motivates people, what drives that behavior. And to understand that, you need to have that conversation with the consumer. And especially now with this topic, we found out that a lot of it is motivated by a lot of emotion that's behind it, of course, because it was a first in a lifetime, life-changing event for a lot of consumers. So we conducted a lot of interviews first, and what we already noticed during the interviews is that a lot of people actually became emotional because it was the first time that they could kind of share the experiences and also how they reacted to everything that was happening around them. And that is such valuable information to really understand the emotions behind the decision making of people, especially in a situation like this that is totally and completely new to a lot of people. And then what we did is we followed up kind of the insights that came out of those personal interviews with a global survey to really validate the insights from the interviews.
Great. So it's more like BrandLoyalty is helping businesses to increase their emotional intelligence, really, to understand their customers and the people in general, to be able to serve the customers better.
Yes.
Knowing their emotional
Exactly.
motivations and stuff.
Exactly.
That's great. So from your study of the why, I know every business will have a different kind of customer base and they will have different motivations, but what is the main takeaway from this research?
Yeah. So what you find out is, of course, people are creatures of habit. So before all of this happened, for example, people were very interested in having the new designer bag and all these innovative gadgets and traveling around the globe. But all of a sudden they were bound at home. But that doesn't mean they want to give up that lifestyle that they were used to. So a trend that you saw happening is that people try to just recreate that similar lifestyle, but then much closer to home. So still enjoying the luxury wines, still enjoying a lot of the exotic cheeses from around the world, but then just bringing that into their own homes. And this is a trend that, of course, will remain because we are in a recession now. So a lot of people are impacted heavily from an economic and social standpoint. And because of that, people will travel less, will stay closer to home, but will still be on the lookout of having that lifestyle that actually made them happy.
Yeah.
So this is also where there's a huge opportunity for retailers tapping into understanding those needs and those motivations of the consumer. How as a retailer can I still create that happiness for my consumer? And that's a huge thing. If you really understand that, then yeah, you can become very, very successful. So yeah, that's one of the advice that I would give to retailers is first understand that, and then look at the products and services that you offer, and is that exactly a good match with the changed needs of the consumer?
Got it. Well, with this big events in 2020, people would have suffered a lot. Some people would have lost their friends and family members. So to be able to have some sweet moments or give them happiness is definitely a challenge to retailers in general. What are the more practical challenges though for the businesses in Hong Kong, Asia Pacific, to serve their customers better in this difficult moment?
Yeah, so of course another thing that happened, what we saw is people started to shop online much more. And especially here in Hong Kong, we saw a huge rise that never happened before. And I think it's actually that's one of the good things coming from this is, of course, before in Hong Kong, the close proximity of all the stores that you have, literally having a grocery store on every corner of the street, there was no need to shop online.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, because of this, people started to go online because it felt a lot safer to do your grocery shopping online than actually having to go into a physical store surrounded by a lot of people. So that increase pretty much came from one day to the other. And a lot of the retailers were not prepared, not set up to deliver. So a lot of the first time users of e-commerce got actually quite disappointed because they tried putting in an order, but the next available time slot for delivery would be like 2 weeks later. So there was a lot of disappointment from consumers using these services for the first time.
Yep.
On the other hand, you of course had your already loyal e-commerce shoppers who also got disappointed.
Oh.
Because for them equally, they were completely expecting, because they're used to it, to just be able to put in their groceries, get it delivered in the time slot that they prefer. But for them equally, they sometimes had to wait many days, up to 2 weeks, for actually getting that time slot to deliver. So that's very important for retailers to realize is what that does to the consumer's trust. And they really need to focus on recovering that trust. Both for the first-time users as for their loyal e-commerce clients. So the focus should really be on service and improving that.
Got it. The service and improving that. I guess, would that mean service from the beginning of the experience of, say, for example, e-commerce, say browsing on the phone or browsing on the laptop, all the way to putting things in the cart, all the way to the transaction being made and to the delivery coming to your door or wherever that is convenient.
Exactly.
Am I right? Is that so? BrandLoyalty is helping businesses to drive these experience or to understand the customer, how they do it.
Exactly. So really understanding how do I get a consumer to be loyal again. And for that, a mistake that is often made is that a lot of businesses look at that from a very transactional point of view. While when you're talking about shoppers, about consumers, they're persons. So you need to understand, again, what motivates these people. So what we often do, where we help a lot of retailers, is kind of converting that transactional relationship that they often have into an emotional relationship with the consumer. By, again, really understanding the why behind the what.
Got it. That's very, very special work that you guys are doing. Are you optimistic though with this all these challenges that we are all facing, consumers and the businesses? Are you optimistic?
I am very optimistic because of this life-changing event. There are so many changes, and by understanding again what drives these people, what drives the motivations, there are now so many new opportunities. You know, like we just mentioned already, is the immediate surge of e-commerce here that would normally have never happened. So yes, we always say every challenge brings an opportunity, and that is definitely the case here. So I'm very optimistic. Although we're in an economic recession, that by itself already creates a lot of different opportunities just by looking at things differently, starting with understanding your consumer.
Thank you, Kim. Would you mind sharing with the retailers what are the key trends that we see these days?
Yes, so what we just discussed, one of the most important ones that you will see moving forward is maintaining my lifestyle in the intimacy of my own home. So that is one of the trends that we will see moving forward. The other one is all around health. People have become very, very important of health. So that's the second one that we see. Then, as we discussed before, the rise of local and community. That has become very, very important. And we saw, of course, things like online e-commerce going into high gear. This is something that will move forward as well. And a lot of consumers will remain using these type of services. But as mentioned before, retailers will need to focus on recovering the trust by really making sure that these digital services give a good consumer experience.
Great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Now, finally, just one key idea for us to take away.
Yeah, so the key takeaway that I would like to give to our audience is to really try to understand what motivates your consumer. That will be crucial.
Great. So what motivates our consumer?
Yes.
We'll remember that. Thank you very much, Kim, for your time today.
Thank you.
Hope you've enjoyed it.
Hello. Hello, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it too. Already have some answers typed in the window. I'll share the questions that are being asked. So one of the questions that is being asked is, do you have local solutions for Chinese-speaking markets? Yes, we do. We have had multiple solutions already gone live since back in 2014 when we launched the very first solution in China, and we've been doing many things. And what we've done there is we focus on where the consumer is, which in China is, of course, mostly on WeChat. So our solution is also ready for the Chinese market, as we have a fully designed and implemented solution for WeChat mini program. So we've been using the mini program with many different retailers in China already, which has been working very well. A lot of positive reactions from the retailers as well, as we were able to help the retailers actually also launch and promote their own WeChat channel by actually getting a lot of extra users to sign up to the WeChat channel of the retailer by actually using the loyalty program, mini program that we made for that specifically. So yes, we do have a lot of solutions for the Chinese market as well. Then another question is, I see from your website about your analytical framework. Can you explain how does it work? There's a lot of detail, but I'll keep it high level. So what we look at is we get a lot of the data from the retailer, which we then feed into our analytical framework to really compare how the business has been going previously compared to when our programs run compared to right after. So this is a tool that we've developed in-house ourselves to be able to look at our programs, how the loyalty programs are running, and also be able to act upon it during the running of a loyalty program to make it perform even better. But also, of course, compare previous to during using this tool. Then another question was, do you think COVID-19 has changed how the loyalty program works? Yes, it definitely has. Of course, prior to COVID, there was already a consumer trend that people were just asking and had the need for more meaningful solutions. So what we see is you cannot just focus your loyalty program on transactional values alone. It needs to be a lot more meaningful. So you need to add, again, that emotional layer and really understand the needs of the different consumer. Whereas well, you need to understand the different segments that you're dealing with and make the loyalty program a lot more personalized than what we used to do before, pretty much running a one-size-fits-all loyalty program. So of course, with the use of data and digital capabilities, you can really cater and make a loyalty program very personalized based on the different segments. And that is a way that you can make it a lot more meaningful than just kind of having that transactional relationship with the shopper by adding that extra layer and really understanding what the needs are of that segment. Where instead of focusing on the transactional, you also focus a lot more on the different added value services that the retailer has to offer that will fit very well with that segment or that segment. So that is something that we are using a lot now as well within our loyalty programs to make it a lot more bespoke and personal for the consumer. So I hope that answers your question. Any other questions? Right now, I don't see any other questions anymore. So I hope you enjoyed my short interview. And what I'd like you to know is if you are interested in hearing the full story, so we did this full research report, which I can send to you if you're interested. So please link up with me through LinkedIn. So that I can reach out to you and send you the full report and then connect with you as well and answer any other questions. So thank you for your time. And if there's no further questions, thank you very much for joining.